of them, as I understand it, the only two previous major shareholders that sold all their shares was Dave King and John Bennett. They've sold all their shares. They've got rid of them all. I mean, John Bennett, what he did for us was absolutely fantastic, and it almost cost the guy his life with his health because he had serious health issues because of all of what he took on when he became chairman and all that. So, for him, we have to thank him for that. But as far as I can understand it, he sold all the shares. Dave King sold all the shares. I think the rest of the major shareholders have still kept a small shareholding. How big that small shareholding is, I don't know. It might just be...
It's not big enough to have a say anymore. So.
No, I mean, Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers Investment Group own 51% of the club. So they are the major shareholders. I mean, it is a takeover because as long as they don't fall out with each other, they will always have the majority. The majority, if it came to a vote, they would go through. I mean, it all goes through. It's all going to an EGM on the 23rd of June. And it's very nice to check my holidays before they announce the EGM. That's the day after I come back from Poland, so I can actually go to it. So that was nice to make sure I was back in the country before they do that. And it's all. I mean, it will get voted through because let's be honest, most of the minor shareholders, the fan shareholders, if you like, they will vote it through because everybody's so excited about this. And even if they didn't, they've got enough because they've got 51%. They are going to, as I understand it, they're going to make us private. I mean, there was a thing in the press yesterday. The company name's changing again. They're basically dropping the PLC bit because they're putting us private. They're not going to be a public limited company, which means it's more difficult to buy shares. That's all. I think Trev's probably the man to speak to about all that sort of stuff. I don't, or Stuart. I don't really know that. That's posh Stuart, not Ulster Stuart. I think. I don't really understand all that, but from what I do know about it, I think it basically just means it's going to be more difficult to move shares about, which is fine. Because let's be honest, most people out with the investors who have got the shares are guys like us who are just supporters who want to own a little bit of the club and they own a minute part of it. They've got a handful of shares through the Tifosi share issue or whatever, So it's great to have these guys to have it finally done. I mean, there's loads of stuff online on Friday. People, absolutely gushing, absolutely buzzing. I was inside, but I'm trying to sort of temper it. I just want the manager announced now, so we can start speculating again on who's coming in and what players we're signing. I say the manager. They said in the statement it's going to be a head coach. So, that's the first time they've actually come out and said they're looking at a head coach. But what I think is absolutely brilliant to me is there's Tim. There's Tim making the point about the 20 million. You know what I mean? I think it's brilliant that those that don't like Rangers are saying 20 million for 50% of a club. They don't seem to realise that 20 million, what they've given us to spend, it actually cost them the thick end of 75 million to buy the 51%, which values the club at about 100.
Do you know what? Well, I have to interject. I have to interject and say the meltdown over this has been absolutely incredible, Kenny. Do you know? And it always bemuses me, right? And I say this all the time, right? See if the shoe was on the other foot, and there was rumours about takeovers coming in and billionaires coming in to Celtic, I would keep my mouth shut until such times as it either happened or it didn't happen, and then you can have your say, right? But for the last it seems like 10 years since this was announced, right? But for the last few months, all we've heard is just try to sell season tickets. It's a fake over. They're not even that interested. How did they make money off of that football club? Blah, blah, blah. And then, Kenny, it happens. And then the meltdown continues. But they're only putting 20 million into the football club. Imagine football club buying a football club for 20 million. You couldn't mark their neck with a blowtorch, Kenny.
Not a chance. The smile on my face usually doesn't come off. I'm quite a positive guy, but I was like the Joker when I listened to Super Scoreboard, and that's not for Celtic fans. It's listening to Hugh Keevins and his false teeth rolling about his fucking head, trying to get his head round. He called us a new club, by the way. He called us a new club, right? And then tried to cover it by saying, "Oh, and he must have caught himself in it." And I was like, honest to God, I was like a Joker for Batman, man. I was sitting like, listen to this idiot. And so that started it. See, to be fair, see if Celtic was in the turmoil, which they have been, we're in, blah, 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 and they get bought over, it wouldn't bother me. It's up to them at the day and whatever else. I think Rangers fans may concentrate on their own club, whereas no, all Celtic fans, right? But a lot of them seem to overwhelmingly want to know what the hell we're doing and how we're doing it and when we're doing it and what we're knowing, going on to our podcasts. And remember that woman donated a £5 to you after she ripped you? Remember that? Which was crazy. So
that went into the kitchen extension fund, Kenny.
Oh, did it? I buy a nice wee teapot, did it? But the best part about it is the fact is, as Wilf said, they're 20 million. So me and Stuart Gilroy were sitting talking about this, and Wilf has just broke it straight down exactly what I was going to say. The money for your shirt sponsorships, your money for your new sponsors we don't even know about what's happening, floating about, your European money, all that type of things that's coming through is on top of. Over the last few years, we've been absolutely hanging on that to pay wages and try and put some players in and sell players and buy it. That doesn't need to happen now. That's our money to spend on top of whatever else is there. So you've got wages, you've got whatever else is. Everything's accumulated into more than the 20 million. The 20 million is just what they've handed over to us. The rest, and if you look at Leeds, they're doing it very, very, very sensibly. They'll buy the right players in the right leagues to get them. I mean, they sell Somerville, Gray and Rutter, right? I read a column about this.
Rafinha,
Rafinha, right? The fans went mental. They were like, what the hell are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. They brought 6 players in, right? Then they go to January. They didn't really buy anything, is what the column said. It was being sarcastic. They weren't really doing much business, but they brought in 3 players that said in brackets, won the league. So these aren't silly people. The best thing that I heard there was Wilf saying, we didn't inherit a buyover or a takeover for Americans. We've inherited new staff, new scouting, new medics, how we run the club, the right people come into the right positions. They're organically want to do things the right way to win constantly, Americans. That's just the way they are. That's why the 49ers are so good. That's why Andrew Cavanagh's jumped in. So it's the full blueprint why Celtic fans are imploding and going nuts, because they know fine well this isn't Craig White. You know, this is a actual thing. It's going to be a longevity. This is going to be part of a very, very big journey. And they know it. They don't want it, and they don't want to know it. The same thing in the Super Scoreboard. I remember when Hugh, when he calmed down a wee bit, was saying there was a guy called Stephen that phoned in about the takeover, and he was saying to Hugh, how do you know? You know nothing. Nothing's going to blah, blah, blah. And they played the clip, and the guy said, and Hugh says to him, right, if this gets took over, then you phone back in and apologise to me. And the guy did. The Celtic fan actually phoned in and apologised. So I think there's a realisation that they're going through, which isn't sitting well with any one of them. It's no sitting well with them. And they can't get their head around it. And the only way, as we know about Celtic fans, some of them do, is they overreact far too quickly. I mean, look at that carry on when they hadn't won a treble, for Christ's sake, and they're greeting and gaffing up and they're sack the board, Norris. So I've got a wry smile, right? But I'm only concerned about what my club's doing. And right now, it's a big smiley Kenny. So I'm happy.